And I think he even sent fan mail to the record label that maybe 2010 or something. I was like, that's not Guy Pearce. Come on, man. This is a wind up. Tuesday heartbreak, down, seems to be unfair. You know, that one. I was on tour with Robert Plant in France and Alison Krauss, and a fly went into my mouth during the song.
This is the Mixtape Podcast. I am your host, Mark. If you enjoy this week's episode, please feel free to rate it 5 stars wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can find over 140 archive episodes just by visiting themixtapepodcast.com, and there you will also find the link to my Mixcloud. On the Mixcloud channel, you can also hear the music that my guests pick for their mixtape. Also on the website are my social media links and YouTube channel. You can find all of that good stuff at themixtapepodcast.com. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope you enjoy this week's episode. Hello and welcome to this mixtape for Radio Fremantle 107.9 FM and the mixtapepodcast.com. I am your host, Mark, and joining me today, what an absolute pleasure it is to be chatting to Scott Matthews. How are you, mate?
Oh, very well, mate. How's it going?
Oh, fantastic. So glad to get you on the show. As you know, I've been a fan for a long time. So we're going to chat about the 20th anniversary, Passing Stranger, the vinyl release and the tour you got going on. Yeah. The Record Store Day release. Were you purposely waiting for the 20th anniversary to put the record out? Or, because I know like 2006, vinyl wasn't really a thing, was it? It was right in the doldrums. So no one was putting anything out on vinyl then.
Not really. I think it was just circumstances, the time of trying to get the albums back, getting the vinyl rights. Yes. It's dragged on for 20 years, of course. But of course, it coincided with, it's the 20th anniversary. So it was great timing in that respect. And it was just a frustrating length of time, But of course, it landed perfectly with Record Store Day as well, which was one of those rare moments.
Bit tricky for fans in Australia. I did manage, as you know, to secure a copy from Red Eye Records over in Sydney, which was fantastic. I did contact a couple of local record stores in Perth and see if they were carrying it, but I think Record Store Day, especially for somewhere like Australia, from what I know, the record stores, they put their want lists in and they get what they get given. I don't think they really get sort of too much say in the allocation of records and stuff. So, it can be tricky sometimes with the old Record Store Day. Are you much of a vinyl collector yourself, Scott?
Oh, big time, yeah. I think just going back there to 2006, it wasn't obviously the leading format back in 20 years ago. I was on Island Records, so they weren't really pushing it as well. They obviously the Chris Blackwell era of Island Records and all those great records and artists and bands. Yeah, that was the main format, of course, in the 70s and 80s. But I guess it just got pushed to the wayside, But I've been very much a big fan of records because of our parents' collection, growing up with those, And so that made a big difference.
So I wanted to talk to you about the record itself and the recording of it. What was the songwriting process for you on that album? Being your debut, were they songs that you had sort of built up over time, or did you sort of sit down and go, right, I'm going to write some songs now? How did the album come together?
I think let's think about this. So 2001, 2002. So I would have been how old? Oh man, so the record came out when I was 30. So if we kind of backtrack maybe 5 years or so, it all kind of came to a head. I'd been a guitarist for so many years, and finally kind of plucked up the courage, I guess, to sing, which I thought would be the most bizarre thing in the world to do. And it was just one of those things where, because I got a little bit more confidence than the previous band I was in, they encouraged me to sing and naturally started to write songs. So when that band finished in early 2003, it was just a continuation. Right, I've got these set of tools to communicate, and it was just a case of putting so many things into a pot and just seeing what was going to happen. The witch's brew. It was just like trying to conjure up all these ideas, and from the perspective of a guitarist that was really into Ry Cooder as a kid, and Stevie Ray Vaughan, and then Hendrix, and then discovering the acoustic people of the world like John Martin and all that, and then of course Bert Jansch and Nick Drake. So it all just kind of fused together until this person, that had played guitar since I was 11. So it's been a long time of putting all those ideas together, the interest of playing guitar and trying to present songs songs in a way that are interesting to me. And before you know it, you've got like 10 songs. Oh, there's 10 songs there, And then I can hear all the influences when I look back at that record, and think, yeah, it's. I was kind of almost like a mixing, the real mix and eclectic nature of the album. I think that was maybe its strength, but I think maybe reviewers struggled to put a tag on it, possibly because they didn't know what to say, because it did divert from one. You got almost maybe the slightly pale version in comparison, but the Seattle grunge movement of the 90s. The Fool's Fooling Himself is an acoustic version of that. It's me trying to tap into my little Soundgarden, moment, I guess. And offset that with the delicate intimacy of something like Eyes Wider Than Before, which is very much an intimate, guitar piece. Yeah, it really was a collection of 29-year-old at that point, where I was in my life. So that was the result.
When you wrote Elusive, or you heard it back in the studio for the first time, did you think to yourself, nailed it there? Like, did you think it was going to be the track that it was, like, at the time?
I think in the early days of before the pre-production for the album, the demo version is completely different. It was a high tempo thing. So I think everybody had put their hopes on that one as like, oh, when are you going to record Elusive? We left it towards the end of the sessions, and the reality was it actually wasn't working, because I went into the studio with the demo version of the high tempo one, and we even went to the extremes of putting strings on it as well, and it was a disaster. It sounded fucking awful, really not good. And then I think we had a break from the album sessions, maybe through the summer, not long, but enough of a break to reflect on the point we got to, And yeah, I'd bought an old Harmony Sovereign guitar from the local to us, which is a newspaper called the Bargain Pages, and they advertised for a Harmony Sovereign. So I bought this old Harmony Sovereign for 45 quid. It was from 1961, this guitar, and it had the old strings on it. I just started playing Elusive with my thumb on this guitar, and that was the difference. It was like, oh, that sounds really good, that minimal thing, It's like, I'm not doing much with the guitar, but I mean, the reality is you can probably play that song with 2 strings, because it's all roots, root notes and slight chord inversions. But essentially, that's kind of its strength, I think, is when I reflect even now after 20 years of it, it just has this appeal, because I think it's very sparse as a piece of music. And, the producer, John Cotton, we worked really closely together on the kind of pads of harmonies, that just kind of dart in and here and there. But we actually lifted the harmonies from an alternate version of Elusive, which was recorded with electric guitar. Me trying to do a little wing, with the tablas. But miraculously, just by pure chance, the tempo for both songs was exactly the same. So we lifted the backing vocals from the tabla version. And as soon as John put those onto the new version, it was like, ooh, what's going on? It was pretty wild. And I think we just knew we'd got something at that point. And I think, yeah, and then of course the label turns up and had a little listen to it. And I think everybody was pretty smitten with it.
You're listening to the Mixtape.
And Ivor Novello, was it best song and lyrically and musically? The winner, 2006. I looked up who you were against in that category. You knocked over the Arctic Monkeys in that category, mate.
Easy, mate, easy.
Fair play.
No,
what was that like, the awards night? How was that? Because it always seems like quite, or used to be to me anyway, like really the closest sort of thing to the Grammys in terms of gravitas and the evening,
Yeah, it was, again, all very brand new to me, I mean, we get some context here. This was 2007, and I was just still finding my feet I've got a deal with Island Records. I'm making an album, and then you get a call from your manager saying, "Oh, one of your songs is up for an Ivor Novello." I was like, "Ivor Novello? Oh, yeah, yes, that's the award, isn't it?" And of course, when it came to be, I went to the ceremony. We sat pretty close to the front, which was even more of a nerve-wracking experience because everybody was there. Amy Winehouse was knocking around at that time because we were kind of label mates at that point. And Elton John was there, and and then of course I get presented the award by Robin Gibb. I mean, a bloody Bee Gee,
In terms of songwriting, it doesn't get much bigger than that, does it?
Yeah, so I was like, white as a sheet. I was like anemic boy at that point. Was pale as anything. Went into like a panic, and yeah, I think I just mumbled a few words and then I was off. Yeah, it was a very surreal experience. And I think probably on reflection stood me in good stead for maybe believing myself, that, well, actually, I've made these songs and there's people that seem to be into them and I'm getting recognition for them as well. And of course, and you think like Paul McCartney's got 19 of these things, it's like, oh, well, I've got one, so I'm kind of close, and I just felt like a pig in muck, I felt really in a good place there. And I think it just instilled an assurance in my ability to write songs. But of course, I'm not saying it comes easy. It's a very difficult process, I find still. And only a handful of times does a piece of music just seem to appear from nowhere. Elusive being one of those,
What's your favourite track on the album, Scott? You can say Elusive if you want, but if you've got another one that's not Elusive, what's your favourite track on the album?
I don't think I have a favourite. I think it's just, I think I have moments in the album which really still make me kind of tingle, like I think of the flutes on White Feathered Medicine. My friend Matt Taylor, an astonishing flute player, Matt just turns up and plays through the lines, and, we thought about editing it, but then me and John Cotton just looked at each other and just said, let's just let it run. So when I hear Matt playing through that, weaving through the words, it's and I think arrangement-wise, it's a special thing. It feels good, and I'm really proud. Nobody talks about them much, but I'm really proud of the bass lines. I came up with the bass lines on the spot there, and because I was trying to do everything as much as I could without sounding like a control freak. Because I had ideas my first time in the studio, so I'm really proud of the bass parts on the album. But I think in terms of favorite songs, I probably don't have a favorite because I look back on all the moments on the album and look back with fondness for every session for each song, and that's what makes it a complete piece of work. I think it's because it has all those elements fused together.
Don't touch that dial. You're listening to The Mixtape.
And the tour you're doing, first of all, I think you're doing some solo dates sort of very soon, and then towards the back end of the year, full band show. Are you going to be? It's a 20th anniversary tour. Are you going to be doing that thing of the album front to back, or are you just playing quite a few tracks from the album? How's a set's going to be looking?
Yes. So for the Passing Stranger tour, we are doing the full album. I think the one thing I haven't settled on yet, I'm not sure. I don't want to give too much away, but I think it's going to be a Passing Stranger show. So. That's, but maybe the sequencing of the album may not work for a live show, because if you notice like tracks like Passing Stranger, they come in midway through and then the album kind of just winds down a little bit, with Earth to Calm, White Feathered Medicine, and it just tails off. So maybe as a show, it might just need to rejig the sequencing. But essentially, yeah, it's all the Passing Stranger material and then all the interludes, which will be embellished somewhere as well. Maybe some special guests, so that's, again, can't give an exclusive just yet, but... Yeah.
All right, okay. We'll keep that one under wraps for now. scottmatthews.uk if you want to get any info on this tour dates, tickets, and merch as well. Let's talk about merch really quickly, because you've got a lot of physical formats and stuff on it, but you also do, which I love, handwritten lyric sheets and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing them? And can people just request certain lyrics, or how does it work?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned it because, I mean, genuinely, everyone, it's every lyric sheet, I must have written maybe close to 400, I'd say. We started doing them about 2018, just trying to think of different ways to do something more unique, because everybody can buy the record and a bit of band merchandise, T-shirt, tote bags, all that kind of stuff, Of course, my background as well is I wanted to be a comic book artist, illustrator of some capacity. So I wanted to continue that in some way. I thought, well, I could do screen printed designs, some cool imagery and that. And then just came up with the thought of doing lyric sheets. I'd seen somebody else doing them, and I forget which band it was, but I thought I'll have a go. And leaning on my, my kind of writing style, I guess, as well. And they just really took off, So people can order any lyric from the last 8 albums, which is a lovely thing to do, Somebody was at a gig once absolutely adamant it was a print, and I had to fight my corner and just say, mate, I've spent a lot of time doing this, But I like, it's like another part of that connection thing as well.
It should to point out for people that you're not just it's not like an A4 pad and a biro. It's nice top quality paper, and your handwriting is top notch, like almost calligraphy. Like, you know, you really put a lot of time and effort into. You're not just like scribbling on the back of a beer.
Yeah, no, I think it's important. If somebody takes the time to come to my website and order something, it's reciprocal. It's only right that I put the time in, you know?
Yeah.
But I enjoy the process because it gives me a chance also to reconnect with old songs. And I thought, you know, thinking, oh, did I write that? I don't remember that. That's not very good, is it? Anyway, that's another story.
For Australian audiences, they probably might not be as familiar as you as UK audiences, but the best tie-in that I can give Australian audiences is Wait in the Car, the video. How did you get Mike from Neighbours on that gig? Because first of all, it's an amazing track. It's from your last album, Restless Lullabies, and the video, phenomenal bit of filmmaking. How did that all come together, and how did you come to be working with Guy Pearce?
Oh, it's a lovely moment. It's yeah, that's a case of serendipity right there. You know, I believe that Guy was a fan, is a fan of the first album, and Guy was working on a film in London in 2006, and got talking to the cameraman about music, and then the cameraman was just like, oh, it's because of course my record had just come out at that point. Cameraman said, oh, have you heard this new album by Scott Matthews, Passing Stranger? So of course, apparently Guy fell in love with it, you know, and was a bit of a fanboy at that point. And I think he even sent fan mail to the record label at maybe 2010 or something. I was like, that's not Guy Pearce. Come on, man. This is a wind up. So apparently it was. And then we got a call going, and yeah, we've been friends ever since. It's a nice story. And of course, the latest album, a good friend of mine, Damien Hyde, is a fantastic director and cameraman. I said to Damien, do you fancy doing the next video? And then Damien was like, oh, what should we maybe try and get Guy involved? I was like, oh, I don't think Guy would be up for it, man. I'm not sure. So anyway, I asked Guy the question, and then I think he was knocking on my door as soon as I finished to put the phone down, you know. It was like, he was so keen to do it. And Guy, it was a real insight to watch Guy perform on that day. And I think he really tapped into the sentiment of the words of the song. And of course, Damien's ability with the camera and direction was absolutely flawless. It was a perfect moment of music and visual, you know.
You're listening to The Mixtape.
I think it speaks to, first of all, the songwriting, the direction, and Guy's performance as well. I've never felt so much empathy and sadness for someone I don't know, a fictional character, in 4 minutes after watching that video. Like, you're dying for the guy. Do you know what I mean? In the video, it's so good. It's an amazing bit of filmmaking, cracking song as well. I mean, if you're listening on any of the on-demand platforms, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, or anything, I will chuck a link in the description. First of all, to Scott's website, and also I'll put that video link in there as well on YouTube, because it is definitely one to check out. All right, I'm going to chat about your Patreon in a minute, Scott, because I know that's something you put a lot of effort into as well. But on my Patreon, what I do is I give patrons the opportunity to submit questions to guests. And so I've got a question for you from Tom. And Tom would like to know, what was it like working with Robert Plant on 12 Harps?
Oh, again, one of those pinch yourself moments, you know, to work with Guy, I think was amazing. And then to also, you know, just work with a rock god as well was just like a moment. We're very lucky in that me and Robert Plant support the same football team, so I was very much aware of Robert's association with the Wolverhampton Wanderers. And a producer friend of mine for the second album, Gavin Monaghan, who introduced us and exchanged numbers. And I had a call from Robert just kind of saying how much he really enjoyed the first album. And I think he was really taken. You know, I mean, I'm leaning towards Zep 3 when I'm thinking about the first album anyway. The more Jimmy Page acoustic roots of it, you know. And of course, I was aware of Robert Plant from the ages of about 12, actually probably 11. So yeah, we got a you know a friendship there and a connection, of course. And then to work with him in the studio was great. You know, I had the song written for the second record, and yeah, it was Gavin. Gavin suggested the idea of a duet, you know. And then, of course, I suggested the idea to Robert, and he was very up for it. Although I don't think he was that keen on the mandolin part afterwards. That was an overdub. Maybe he was thinking I was trying to be too John Paul Jones at that point. I don't know. But it worked, you know, two voices, I think. And Robert, I think Robert as well, interestingly, he said himself, you know, he's always just kind of, I think in the quote, his own voice, he's just kind of thrown it out there, you know, just kind of vibing off Bonham and, you know, all those guys. So I think when he was working with Alison Krauss and T-Bone Burnett, it was discipline suddenly had to come in. Oh, I've got to do harmony. And Alison said, well, harmonies have to be the same every night, to a degree, if you're a band, because we've all got to kind of link into the same part. So I think that was a different discipline for Robert. And so he came to the sessions a lot more switched on that front, I think, as well, by his own admission. So it just worked well, I think, and it was a lovely moment. I've got, that record, the second album, lyrically, some of it was a bit off. Again, that classic second album thing, a lot of pressure there for the second one. And a much shorter window to put it all together. So I think if there was one thing I wish I could have done differently, it was probably change some of the lyrics on 12 Harps. But then, we could do a reimagined version as well at some point, maybe the 20th anniversary of Elsewhere.
Not far off.
That's right. Going back from the outset there, things just line up again, because Elsewhere comes around again 20 years, and it's like, we could do an LP release with that and an alternate version with Robert. So maybe look out for that one.
Watch this space.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about your Patreon, Scott, because I know it's something you put a lot of effort into. And talk just about some of the stuff that's on your Patreon.
I think it's more just the community, Obviously, the thing with social media, it's a drag, It's like, I think everyone's getting a little bit fed up of it, just the same mechanism of scrolling the hell out of something, It's like, it's so boring. And we all get into rabbit holes. But I think I was just keen to do something that really embraced the community, and something was dedicated to us all being together on the same thing in that moment, and the exclusivity of it all as well. And we've offered a lot of online shows. There's still an absolute wealth of things I would like to do, because I think it's an important thing to keep going. It's and I enjoy that moment. I think of course with COVID, it was very much a crucial lifeline for us all, to have that kind of connectivity. So we started doing online shows from my back garden, in my shed. But it was such a buzz, I was kind of getting so nervous before the show. I'm like, well, I've got a cup of tea and I'm in my back garden here. I'm not going to a show, but I've got the same feeling as that, I think there's more apprehension with the technical side of it than anything, because the first show we did was like, we probably did about 400 tickets,
Wow.
And but then, of course, after the whole thing with COVID, I was just keen to keep the Patreon thing running and as much as we can, and do a lot more. So I think I'm still keen to get more ideas from the patrons and get their thoughts about what they'd like to see. And I've thought about all kinds of ideas. I thought about maybe song breakdowns and stuff would be maybe the nice next thing, the next stepping stone. But it's a great thing, isn't it? It's gets a chance for the community to see one another. And one time was really funny as well, because I'd finished the gig on Zoom with patrons, and I forgot to turn it all off, So of course I went to make a cup of tea, and then that was about 15-20 minutes later, came back down the shed to turn all the gear off, and there was still pretty much everyone on the screen, playing charades and stuff. I was like, that's amazing. So the community just improvised there and just kind of did their own thing together, which is I thought it was a lovely thing, and it's galvanized the fan base, and I'm kind of keen to really drive that even more. And I enjoy it. It's a special thing to do. And but I need to find more ways to do different things. Like 2 weeks ago, we did a live Q&A with a bit of a Passing Stranger special almost, And so everything related to Passing Stranger, 20 questions, and it was a lot of fun. But now I think it's an important thing, and it kind of coexists as well with now, of course, venues and theatres are open again. People still like this community.
I was lucky enough to be at a really intimate show in Fremantle probably about 6 weeks ago. Nick Mulvey came to Perth, and he played a big show at the Astor Theatre, and then out of the blue he just announced this little, it's no bigger than a pub, it's about 150 capacity show, and he sat on stage, free tickets as well, you had to register, and he sat on stage just on a stool with an acoustic guitar, and he sort of like, he took requests, he took questions, he talked about his songwriting inspirations, he broke down the technicalities of what he was playing, and it was phenomenal show, amazing, like just sitting in a little room of like 100 odd people, so good. So that sort of thing it exists still, but out in the quote unquote real world, you know what I mean? That's still going on. It was a fantastic show. It was so good.
I think we all need that. I think it's just emphasised that actually with COVID, it's like what we've all missed. I'd like to think it's just kind of give people a little shock of reality of just like, oh yeah, let's make up for some lost time here. And I think people really want that bespoke, unique experience. you know, and I think that's why the online shows have been so successful, because it's our little world, you know.
Link to your Patreon is scottmatthews.uk as well. You can get on there.
Don't touch that dial. Stay with us on the mixtape.
All right, Scott. So as we mentioned at the start, the show's called The Mixtape. And what I like to do when I get people on is explore your influences and inspirations by asking you to make up a mixtape of 6 tracks. And there are 6 categories, and I'll give you a category for each track, and you have to pick a song for each category. On the radio show, we'll play the songs. And on the podcast, there'll be a link in the description to a playlist of the songs. So track 1 of your mixtape, Scott, is an attention grabber. What's your track 1 attention grabber for your mixtape? What song would you use for that?
Beck. It's a Beck cover. Everybody's got to learn sometime. Was it 10cc?
I think it was, yeah.
Everybody's got to learn sometime.
Yeah.
Did his dad do the string arrangements as well, I think, on that one?
I'm not sure. I know it's from that movie, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless
Yes.
Mind. That's a great
Spotless
movie.
Mind, yeah.
From that.
Yeah, that's a great song. I mean, I love Beck's version. I love that simplicity, that minimal thing, you know. Attention grabbing by Bucket Load.
Great choice to kick it off, mate. And track 2 of your mixtape, Scott, what is a song that you sing when you're on your own, loud and proud in the car or the shower?
I mean, I can't sing them, but it'd probably be a Stevie Wonder song. Tuesday heartbreak, down, 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 seems to be unfair. You know, that one. Tuesday Heartbreak, and then you got things like Blame It on the Sun. Anything from Talking Book or Innovisions, that's one of my favourites. Let's go with Tuesday Heartbreak.
Track 3 of your mixtape, Scott, is pick your favourite cover version.
That's the easiest one of the lot, I'd imagine. For me, it has to be Jeff's Hallelujah. Of course, Leonard's version is a beaut. He wrote the thing, you know, but when you get somebody like Jeff taking it somewhere, it just transcends everything, you know. It's just this, you kind of feel levitated when you hear it, you know. It's just this special piece of music. Just those chords, you know, at the beginning. You just know something special's happening. And then I was quite surprised as well, just as a side note there, that the version that we hear on the Grace album is essentially like 3 or 4 takes, isn't it? Like spliced together. But it just works so well as a complete piece. But that was probably meant to be Jeff's song, I'd say.
I think that's probably the second most popular choice in 159 shows. I think that's the second most chosen. All Along the Watchtower, Jimi Hendrix is the number 1 choice in that. And Hurt by Johnny Cash. Those are the 3. They're always sort of like vying for the top 3. Track 4, Scott, this might take a little bit of thinking time. What is a song you wish you could play to your 18-year-old self?
That's a really good question, that is. To my 18-year-old self, well, I'm judging it on the basis that this would change my course in my life at that point. So that would be a significant thing. I probably wish I'd have just tapped into people like John Martin a little bit earlier, because I think that would have informed a lot of my musical musings in my 20s. So I lost my way a lot in my 20s, and I think that's maybe the right kind of music wasn't kind of being fed that, you know. So I think if somebody would have played me anything from Solid Air, John Martin, I think that would have been a game changer, you know, because I didn't discover it until much later on. But we're going to go with the track. I mean, the obvious one I'd say that probably people wouldn't remember is May You Never.
I like Small Hours. That's my favourite. So like the ambience in that is just incredible. Like if you listen really closely, you can hear the ducks on the lake outside of his house where he's recording that. It's a phenomenal recording. Just so, like you were saying about minimalist, it's just so sparse, and I love that song so much. It's so good.
It's all great stuff. I mean, but yeah, so a track to play to my 18-year-old self, it's probably, May You Never.
Track 5, Scott. If you were looking to woo someone, a romantic interest, you want to let them know you're keen and you're making up a mixtape, what track would you use for that?
Probably drop Elusive in there, I think. No. I think, man, another great question. And we've got to go back to Stevie again, because Stevie just wrote absolute beauties. I mean, some great stuff out there. Vincent, Don McLean, you know, love stuff like that. But I think it'd have to be Stevie Wonder's You and I.
Have you ever done that, Scott? Have you ever made up a mixtape or had one made up for you that's done the trick?
Yeah. In the early days, we'd do the old mixtapes. We've probably still got them somewhere.
And finally, for your mixtape, Scott, track 6, deep cut, album track or B-side?
Album track or B-side?
Yeah, a deep cut, yeah, something that's a bit, so you feel is like maybe doesn't get the recognition that it deserves.
I've got some real curveballs here, man. I mean,
that's what this category is invented for.
I mean, there's a band close to where I live, Ned's Atomic Dustbin. I don't know if anyone's aware of those in Australia, but yeah, Ned's wrote some great songs, and especially their first album. Put a song called Cut Up is lovely as well. But I think they're a band that no one talks about. Nobody's probably really heard of, I guess. But yeah, I'd say the album Happy, Godfather.
I remember an interview with Noel Gallagher a long time ago, right, mid-90s, like peak Oasis, and he was being asked about band names and what is it important, and like what like he's talking about the Smiths and Oasis and Radiohead and band names like that, and he was saying like it's really important to have a really good band name, and he went, look at Ned's Atomic Dustbin.
Yeah, man, it's an unfortunate situation, I guess. But yeah,
I think he might have mentioned Toad the Wet Sprocket as well. In the same interview, was like, what is going on here?
You're listening to The Mixtape.
One more quick little section, and this is quick fire, so it's like as quick like one or two word answers. Keep it as short as you can. Just round it out with this one. Everybody gets the same 5 questions in this. They're all around touring and playing live. First of all, do you have a pre-show ritual, Scott?
Yep, it's just generally drinking warm water and honey.
What's on your tour rider? Anything weird or interesting?
Nothing suspect, no. Just general stock things, but trying to avoid cheese, things like that. Anything that just helps the voice, the endurance of singing. So yeah, make sure the ginger's on there and stuff like that.
What's your favourite city to play live?
Oh man, I mean, if I had to really sum up the show, one of my favourite shows last year, 2025, Dublin, all day. It was just something was going on there. It was a special night. But again, the serendipity of something. It was just that occasion where it just felt great.
Have you ever had any onstage disasters?
Yeah, man, a lot of those. Yeah, a lot of those. I remember could be here all night on that one. Spilling wine all over my guitar for the first song of the night. And then that moment in Terminator when, Arnold Schwarzenegger's LED and his light goes off. The guitar just died. I was on tour with Robert Plant in France and Alison Krauss, and a fly went into my mouth during the song. And yeah, luckily I managed to spit the thing out, and get on with the song. He was embarrassed. I could see this fly circling for most of the set. Yeah, man, and then he just landed right in my mouth.
And finally, mate, if you could time travel to any concert in history, which concert would you choose?
Fantastic question. Fantastic. But I've got the answer here. I think it would either be Nick Drake at the Royal Festival Hall in London, or it would be Nick at the Les Cousins in the London club in Soho. But a Nick Drake gig. Apparently there was one little moment with Nick where it was like some kind of Cambridge mini festival or something, wasn't there? And he played in the library of the university with the string quartet. And I'd have loved to have been there. There'd only been a small amount of people there, but that was the only time I believe that Nick played with the quartet live.
I'm just going to get you to do one more thing quickly for me, Scott. It was actually my ex-wife's best friend who introduced me to your album. And I sort of lost her in the divorce. Do you know what I mean? But I love her dearly and I really miss her. And her favourite track is City Headache. So I'm going to close the show with that. Would you mind introducing City Headache for me, please, to close out the show?
Okay, so this next song, this was the last song we recorded for the Passing Stranger sessions. And I think it was meant to be on the album. It's called City Headache.
It's for you, Kate. Absolute pleasure chatting to you, mate.
You too. You too.
Cheers, buddy.
All right, mate.
Take care, mate.
Posted.
See you later.
All the best.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's mixtape. If you would like to get more from the mixtape, you can catch up with over 150 archive episodes by visiting themixtapepodcast.com. Also there you'll find links to the YouTube channel, my social media pages and my Patreon if you would like to get even more content that doesn't go out on the radio show or the podcast. You can secure your mixtape backstage pass. All of those links are available at themixtapepodcast.com. You've been listening to The Mixtape and I've been your host, Mark. Until next time.